You're standing in line at a Trader Joe's on a Tuesday afternoon, holding a bag of frozen dumplings and a bottle of cheap wine when you see them. The person you've been low-key obsessed with for the last 4 months is 3 people ahead of you in the checkout line. Your heart doesn't just beat, it thrashes. Your palms are suddenly so slick you're worried you'll drop the wine. This is the person whose Instagram you've studied like a final exam. You know their favorite obscure 70 seconds rock band. You know they prefer oat milk over almond, and you've already figured out exactly how your furniture would look in their apartment. In your head, you've lived 1,000 lives with them. You've rehearsed the perfect, witty first conversation 1,000,000 times while brushing your teeth. But then, it happens. They turn around. They see you. And instead of the polite, distant nod you expected, they smile a real, genuine, I've been waiting to see you kind of smile. They walk over, ignore the line, and say, I was actually just about to text you. I've really missed talking to you. In that exact moment, the air leaves the room. The frozen dumplings feel like lead. The person who was a masterpiece 30 seconds ago suddenly looks normal. Their shirt has a tiny coffee stain. Their voice is a little too loud. And most importantly, they want you. The hunt is over, the mystery is solved, and your brain is screaming for the nearest emergency exit. Does this feeling of sudden, violent indifference feel a bit too familiar to you? Have you ever felt like a fraud for wanting someone so badly, only to find them repulsive the second they wanted you back? This is the gritty, unglamorous surface of a psychological glitch that millions of people carry around like a hidden bruise. It's the phenomenon of losing interest the moment you are loved back, and it's a cycle that turns your romantic life into a series of coming soon trailers for movies that never actually get released. To your friends, you're the heartbreaker. You're the one who gets bored or has high standards. But on the inside, it feels much more like a malfunction. You feel like a weirdo loser who can't enjoy the very thing you spent months praying for. You wake up the morning after a great date, a date where they finally admitted they have feelings for you, and you feel post-Rubor. It's a Latinish term for that sudden crash after the emotional high. But in the modern American dating scene, we just call it the ick. But this isn't just a normal ick. This is a total system shutdown. You look at their name on your phone screen, and you feel a physical sense of dread, like you're being summoned to jury duty. You start picking them apart. You hate the way they use emojis. You hate the way they breathe. You hate that they're so available. Why is it that the moment someone becomes attainable, they lose all their value? Is your heart a one-way street by design, or are you just terrified of what happens at the end of the road? Let's pop the hood and look at the hidden engine driving this behavior, because it's a lot more than just being fickle. For many of us, the attraction was never about the human being standing in front of us. It was about the project. In a culture that prioritizes the chase, from the way we climb the corporate ladder at a tech startup to the way we grind for followers on social media, we have become addicted to the move. State of wanting. We are a nation of wanters, not havers. When you love someone from a distance, you are the director, the editor, and the audience of your own private movie. You get all the dopamine of the crush with none of the work of the relationship. The aha moment happens when you realize that for a lithromantic or someone with a deeply avoidant attachment style, intimacy isn't a goal, it's a threat to the ego. To be loved back is to be seen. And for someone who doesn't quite love themselves, being seen feels like being caught in a lie. If this person is so amazing and they like times me asterisk, then either they aren't as amazing as I thought, or they're making a huge mistake that I'm going to have to pay for later. It's a defense mechanism, disguised as boredom. By losing interest, you're not getting bored. You're escaping before they can realize you're not the perfect stick figure version of yourself you've been projecting. Have you ever wondered why you only seem to fall for people who are emotionally unavailable, live in another country, or are literally fictional characters? It's because they are the only ones who can't ruin the fantasy by showing up with their laundry and their feelings. Think about the way we consume main character energy in our daily lives. We want to be the one everyone is looking at, the one everyone is chasing. But the moment the chase ends, We lose our main character status and become just another person in a relationship. For the person with the kill switch, the relationship feels like a loss of power. In the chase, you are the mysterious prize. In the relationship, you're just the person who forgot to take out the trash. The hidden engine runs on the fuel of potential. Potential is infinite. Potential is beautiful. Potential doesn't have morning breath or a credit card debt or a complicated relationship with its mother. But reality is limited. Reality is heavy. For a brain that is wired for the high-intensity burst of a new crush, the slow burn of real intimacy feels like a suffocating blanket. This is why you might find yourself stalking their social media, even times after times you've broken up with them. You don't want the person. You want the idea times of the person back. You want to go back to the time when they were a mystery to be solved, rather than a human to be known. Do you find yourself more in love with your memories of people than the people themselves? Are you tired of feeling like your heart has a return policy that expires the moment the transaction is complete? There's a specific kind of loneliness that comes with this, and it's a very digital age problem. We live in the era of the curated self. We spend hours picking the right filter for a photo of our coffee, making sure our lives look like a Pinterest board. When we apply this same curation to our romantic interests, we create icons instead of individuals. The person who loses interest is often a perfectionist who is terrified of the mess. And let's be honest, real love is incredibly messy. It's about compromise. It's about seeing someone at their worst, and it's about letting them see you at your worst. For someone who has built their entire identity on being cool, independent, or mysterious, that messiness feels like a death sentence. The kill switch is your brain's way of keeping the museum clean. It would rather have an empty gallery than a gallery full of imperfect art. But here's the question we never ask ourselves. Are we actually bored with them, or are we just exhausted by the effort of pretending to be perfect for them? Is the ick just a signal that the mask is starting to slip? We see this play out in the situationship culture that has taken over American dating. It's the land of, we're just vibing, and I'm not looking for anything serious. For the person who loses interest, a situationship is the perfect compromise. It's a way to keep the engine running without ever actually putting the car in gear. You get the late-night texts, the flirty banter at the office, and the occasional dinner date, but you never have to deal with the reciprocation alarm. But the moment the other person says, "Hey, what are we?" the alarm goes off. The vibes are ruined. The person who was so chill is now too much. This creates a trail of confused exes who can't understand how things went from 100 to 0 inches a weekend. And the worst part is, you can't explain it to them because you don't even understand it yourself. You just know that the light is gone, and you can't turn it back on no matter how hard you try. Does it feel like you're constantly ghosting your own happiness because you're afraid of what happens when the mystery ends? The hidden engine also loves to play the comparison game. In the age of infinite choices on dating apps, the brain thinks, if I'm bored with this person who loves me, maybe it's because there's someone even times more, times perfect out there, who will love me in a way that doesn't trigger my kill switch. It's the grass is greener syndrome on steroids. We treat people like Netflix shows. We watch the pilot, we get hooked on the premise, but the moment the plot gets a little slow in season 2, we cancel the series and look for a new trending now title. But the aha moment is realizing that the problem isn't the show, it's our attention span for intimacy. We've been conditioned to think that love should be a constant high, a perpetual state of first kiss energy. When the high naturally settles into a glow, we mistake the peace for boredom. We mistake the safety for a cage. Have you ever sabotaged a perfectly good relationship because it felt too easy? Did you start a fight just to feel that intensity again, even if it was negative intensity? Let's talk about the stalker label for a second, because it's something that many lithromantics fear. When you're obsessed with someone from a distance, you do things that look like stalking. You know their schedule, you know their friends, you know their history. But the difference is, that a stalker wants to times possess times the person. A lithromantic wants to times observe times the person. They want the person to stay exactly where they are on the pedestal. The moment the person steps off the pedestal to give them a hug, the lithromantic feels like the pedestal has fallen on top of them. They don't want to own you, they want to worship you from the front row. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of this, it's heartbreaking. You feel like you were bait and switched. You were promised a deep connection, but you were actually just being used as a prop in someone else's internal theater. If you're the one doing this, do you ever feel like you're collecting people like trophies, only to find that once they're on your shelf, they lose all their shine? The meaningful truth, the light at the end of this very long, very confusing tunnel, is that you are not broken. You are just a soul mapper who is still learning how to navigate the difference between fantasy and connection. The aha moment comes when you stop trying to fix your kill switch and start asking what it's trying to tell you. It's telling you that you don't feel safe being known. It's telling you that you've built a life where wanting is a substitute for being. The enlightenment isn't about forcing yourself to stay in a relationship that makes you want to crawl out of your skin. It's about learning to be honest with yourself and with the people you target, with your affection. It's about realizing that the verdep khoảng, cách, the beauty of the distance, is a real thing, but it's not the only thing. You can start by lowering the stakes. Stop treating every crush like a cinematic masterpiece and start treating them like a sketch. Allow yourself to see the coffee stains and the boring stories as part of the art, not a distraction from it. You might find that your path to happiness isn't the standard American dream of a white picket fence and a soulmate who knows your every thought. Maybe for you, happiness looks like independent connection relationships that have a lot of space, a lot of autonomy, and very clear boundaries about the chase. There is a profound power in saying, I love the way I feel when I'm around you, but I'm someone who needs a lot of distance to keep the fire alive. By being the architect of your own version of love, you stop being the villain in everyone else's story and start being the hero of your own. You aren't a weirdo loser for losing interest. You're just someone who values the purity of an idea. But remember, an idea can't hold your hand when you're sick. An idea can't laugh with you at a stupid joke at 3 a.m. The ghost is beautiful, but the guest is the one who actually stays. So, the next time you feel that click, that sudden urge to run the moment someone loves you back, don't just run. Stop, breathe, and ask yourself, am I running from them, or am I running from the version of myself that I'm afraid they'll see? Maybe it's time to stop the chase and just let yourself be found. Does that feel a little less scary now?